being here with us today on this really special event. I would like to introduce a very special person. He spent his childhood in Bangor, Michigan. This is where he formed his passion for sports and music. He was a four-sport varsity athlete at Bangor High School and went on to wrestle, play baseball and football at Olivet College. After earning a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology and a teaching certificate in 1968, he accepted a teaching and coaching position with South Haven Public Schools. 3 months later, he was drafted into the Army at age 22. September 1968, he reported basic training at Fort Knox, Kentucky. With his knowledge of sports medicine, his leaders took notice. After 2 months, he then was sent to Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas, to complete his training as a medical specialist. On his last day, he was given his orders to deploy to Vietnam as a combat medic. Now moving forward in time. On July 30, 2017, James McCloughan was presented the Congressional Medal of Honor by President Trump. This medal represents the highest military honor. It represents courage and valor, where a person risks his life by saving others. Many people call James McCloughan Doc. Others call him teacher, coach, or mentor. My kids call him Papa. And now everyone calls him hero. Please help me welcome Medal of Honor recipient James McCloughan to Creekside Middle School.
Another summer's day has come and gone away. I'm marching along, but I wanna go home. Oh yeah. Maybe surrounded by 1,000 soldiers, I still feel all alone. Oh, let me go home, 'cause I miss you, you know. And I'm saving all the letters that I wrote to you, each one a line or two. I'm fine, baby, how are you? I would send them, but I know that it's just not enough. My words are cold and flat, and you deserve more than that. Another aeroplane, another sunny day, alive and lucky I know, but I wanna go home. Let me go home. Let me go home. I'm just too far from where you are. I wanna come home. Now this next part, it depicts just the way I felt when I got off that helicopter in the jungles of Vietnam and realized I was in a war zone. And I feel just like I'm living someone else's life. It's like I just stepped outside when everything was going right. And I know just why you could not come along with me. This is not your fight, but you always believed in me. Another winter's day has come and gone away, and I'm still marching along, but I wanna go home. Oh, can't I come home? And I'm surrounded by 1,000 soldiers I still feel alone. Oh, let me go home, 'cause I miss you, you know. Let me go home. I've had my run, but baby, I'm done. I wanna come home. Let me go home. It'll all be alright. I'll be home tonight. I'm coming back home. Let me tell you a little bit about that song. That's a Michael Bublé song, and he's in Paris and Rome. And if you noticed, I just changed the words a little bit. When I first heard it, I told my wife Cherie McCloughan back there that, hey, that's a soldier song. All I got to do is change a couple words, because that's the way you feel when you're in a war zone, or even serving the country far away from home. You want to get back home as soon as you can. But I'm just so thrilled to be here today to speak to these particular good-looking students and teachers in the back there. I taught for 38 years, as was said, and I loved what I did, and I loved it because I was surrounded by good-looking individuals like yourself. Also, I want to tell you that the years that you are living right now, these middle school years, and then you'll be moving into the high school next year, they'll be the most important years of your life. I don't know if I should tell you this because I'm only 26, but I'll be celebrating my 50-year college graduation next year. I graduated in 1968, and it seems like yesterday, you know, that I just graduated from high school. But the reunions that you will constantly go back to are your high school reunions, because all of these people here that you're sitting with, those will be the individuals that you remember. You grew up together, you did so many things, you formed so many memories together. One important thing that I want to point out to you, the habits that you will form these few years will either make you or break you. Make sure that you are forming good ones. Once you develop those habits, they will own you. I can guarantee you. I've seen it in students that went one way and other students that went another way. It's hard to break a bad habit, but it's great to keep a good habit. Let me tell you a story about a middle school boy that I knew very well back in the 1950s. First of all, when he moved into his house, his parents had bought this land from his great-grandparents. And when they moved in, there was no electricity nor running water. And until this boy was 4, they didn't have electricity. Until he was 8 or 9, they didn't have the water. So, you know, there was a 2-holer out back. For those of you that haven't seen the Clampetts, that's, you know, a John out back. If you've been to a construction site, it's one of those things that they now make, you know, out of plastic, or if you've been to a big ball game and so on and so forth. And we had a little pump out back for water. This boy's heat was from a wood-burning stove that his father would throw wood into every once in a while, and he also helped his dad cut that wood. Before he came to the middle school, in Bangor, Michigan, he went to a one-room country school, kindergarten through 8th grade. So he walked a mile every day to and from school. Didn't matter what the weather was, but he made it to and from school on his feet until he could ride a bicycle, and then he would ride his bicycle there. His dad paid tuition for him to go into Bangor Middle School. Actually, it was called senior high school, and he was supposed to go through the 8th grade at this one-room country school, but his dad paid tuition. He was quite small in 7th grade, about 4'7", but he was quick, fast, strong, and determined. So he became, at that particular time, his first introduction to interscholastic athletics was basketball and track. And of course, everybody kidded about how small he was at that particular point in his life. He also loved to sing, and the music teacher began giving him solo parts in the choir. He started singing all kinds of events, even though he was quite shy as a smaller child. He was quite shy. His music and sports followed him to the high school, where in the 9th grade he was now all the way up to 4'10". If you can imagine moving into the high school at 4'10", it's not really tall, and a lot of the people, again, joked about it, and he just kind of went along with the jokes. But he paid no attention to the name calling because he was small in stature. He just kind of moved on and did whatever it was that he had to do. His singing skills landed him the lead part in 4 musicals during his high school years, and he earned 11 varsity letters in a variety of sports. And he was voted on the all-conference team in every one of those sports except for track, where you earn all-conference. He was on 220. That used to be a yard thing. Now it's a 200-meter and 400-meter. Then he was on the half-mile relay team and mile relay team, where they were 3rd in the state in both of those relay teams. He also was all-state in track. He was voted by the teachers and the students as the top athlete and musician, and he received that award when he graduated, and he was in the top 10 in his graduating class. Oh, did I mention he was 5'2" by now as a graduating senior, but nobody was making fun of him anymore. During the next 6 years of junior high and high school, he learned a lot of good habits during those years. He studied and played and worked hard. Emphasize, he was a hard worker. He treated others like he wanted them to treat him, even though some of them didn't treat him the way he wanted to be treated. He respected his parents, his teachers, his friends, his teammates, and classmates. He was a team player, and he was aware that his talent was God-given. Nobody on his team was more important than anyone else. He attended college and continued to improve his singing, and his athletic skills became a little bit better, and he earned 7 varsity letters in football, wrestling, and baseball, and was a conference champion wrestler his junior and senior year at 130 pounds, even though he had never competed in wrestling until he had gotten to college. By now, he was a giant. He was 5'5". After graduating, he signed a contract to teach and coach both football and wrestling. And however, he was drafted by the United States Army and reported to basic training. His professional career was put on hold. After his basic training, he went to Fort Sam Houston, Texas, and that's down in San Antonio, way down there. And he became a combat medic. He was sent to Vietnam. He performed his duties with an infantry unit. He called his job as a medic a positive job in a negative situation because he could save lives. Although in Vietnam, it was the first time that medics actually carried weapons. So he did fight right along with the infantry soldiers, whom they called grunts.
And if you've ever carried a 100 to 130 pound pack, you'd know why they call them grunts. He saved many of his warriors' brothers, and many lasting friendships were made. He was highly respected by other soldiers. He did return to the United States and taught and coached in the high school at South Haven for 38 successful years and is now retired. If you were to ask him why he was able to be an achiever, he would tell you it was because of those habits that he learned and practiced during those crucial 6 years of middle school and high school. He never let what he could not do interfere with what he could do. All of the people that he met on his path along the way built his character. His parents, his teachers, his coaches, his teammates, his friends,